All right, so these days everyone is talking about cryptocurrencies. Dogecoin, Ethereum, NFTs, blockchain, and Bitcoin are among them. But what on earth does it all mean? Good Lord. Greetings and welcome to the one film that will turn you from a crypto novice to an expert. I'll explain what it is, why it keeps becoming bigger, what I've really put into it, and the negative aspects. All right, so money didn't exist when society was first getting started. I'll refer to this as stage one. Going up to someone and saying, "Oh, I really like your horse. I'll trade you my calf for it," was the only way to get something from them. "I apologize, I never trade you Milo." However, the problem with such a system is that although you may be more than willing to give up your horse, you may not want a cat. So that trade is not going to occur, but money entered the picture at that point. Phase 2 coins. Since they were crafted from valuable materials like gold and silver, people simply accepted that they had value. Suppose you are familiar with the British pound. 1 pound used to actually be 1 pound of silver, which is why they are called pounds. It suddenly doesn't matter in a deal if you don't want my cat. We can still trade your horse for mine as long as I have cash. The silver is a precious material, so even if you have no use for it at all, you may still take it, give it to someone else, and exchange it for something you actually desire. Pretty handy, huh? However, after that, this reached stage 3. As governments gained authority and banks were founded, we saw that we could switch from need to carry blocks of precious metal to something even more convenient, paper money, so long as there was faith in the system. It performs the same function, but now the money is only valuable because the government says so, rather than having intrinsic value because it is composed of pure silver. For example, the £10 note in the UK is now constructed of plastic instead of paper since it is more durable. This change was made recently. However, a closer examination reveals that this is really just the Bank of England guaranteeing to pay the note's bearer. In reality, this is merely a receipt, a form of identification that certifies you are the owner of a specific sum of money. However, as technology has advanced even more, we have discovered ever more practical methods for exchanging and preserving our belongings. Now that we're at what I would refer to as stage 4, a greater number of individuals than ever before are making credit card purchases online, and when you get to that point, you really don't see your money anymore. It's just entries on a spreadsheet, nothing to do with currency, notes, or cats. For example, when I purchase a record from Amazon, all that happens is that my bank makes a note in my spreadsheet indicating that Aaron now has $10 less, and then the Bank of Amazon makes a note indicating that they have $10 more. I've provided you this introduction in order to provide you with some background on the state of cryptocurrencies. Many consider this to be the most convenient trade era in history. Phase 5. A cryptocurrency can be conceptualized as entirely virtual. I am aware that the Bitcoin logo somewhat resembles a real coin. It is a tiny coin, actually. However, with cryptocurrency, there is no such thing as gold, silver, or paper. It is essentially just the digital assets being transferred. The fundamental idea remains the same. Consider them to be nothing more than live spreadsheets that track who has been paid what by whom. However, with cryptocurrency, all transactions performed with that currency are kept in a single massive spreadsheet rather than different institutions maintaining their own distinct records. This is referred to as a ledger. Okay, so everyone like a good spreadsheet, so what's the big deal? Why is the cryptocurrency craze taking off? Well, there are a few clear benefits to this kind of money system. It is decentralized to start. This implies that though a particular cryptocurrency's transactions are all tracked on a single ledger, there are countless copies of that ledger, and there is one for every member of the network. It's possible that you've heard of Bitcoin mining or cryptocurrency mining. That's just someone who has their copy of this ledger or spreadsheet program to process transactions on a computer. Just one form of cryptocurrency exists, Bitcoin, and there are currently 1 million miners worldwide. Why are they doing it? Exactly? Well, you will get paid in Bitcoin if you use the processing power of your computer to mine, say, Bitcoin. As such, in the event that I enter a store and spend 5 Bitcoins on something, the shop checks not only with one bank's records, but with every single computer on this network to see if I have enough. If I do, each computer will grant permission and update its records independently. It therefore becomes extremely simple to determine whether someone is trying anything suspicious since you wind up with this many copies of the exact same ledger. Do you? Who purchased this? For example, it won't work if I try to break into someone else's network computer and change numbers on their copy of the ledger to give myself more money. The ledger's 99.9% of copies will all say the same thing, but one copy will say something different, leading the system to conclude that there has been tampering. The system is really well organized, and I believe that the reason people trust it is because they perceive the future as initiate transactions that are traceable, significantly more so than having, say, some portions of the record here and some portions there. And while it may appear complicated today, I think you'll discover that it's actually simpler for many folks as we work through this. Many places in the world lack access to traditional banks, which demand a lot of paperwork and documents, but do have internet connectivity, which is all you'd need for cryptocurrency as well. The biggest benefit of cryptocurrency, as I've previously sort of mentioned, is that it eliminates the need for banks. You can make international payments almost instantaneously instead of waiting half a day with no spending limits because everything is kept by the individuals on this ledger. Additionally, there are no interest rate or currency rate concerns, and transaction costs are almost non-existent. That is for some cryptocurrencies. But here is the start of the real fun. I swear, parties are great. The fact that cryptography is used to secure cryptocurrencies explains why they are known as cryptocurrencies. And blockchain is one illustration of this, which is used by several of the main cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Now, this frequently causes confusion in people. Bitcoin is not blockchain. Blockchain itself is not a kind of money. Simply said, blockchain is a safe kind of ledger. You know that massive spreadsheet that all of us have that keeps track of all of our transactions? Interestingly enough, blockchain is essentially a method of grouping it into blocks. Hence, each time I use Bitcoin to make a payment, the transaction is saved as a block. Every block holds two things: the hash of the preceding block in the series, which is the last transaction that was recorded, and transaction data such as who was paid and how much. A hash is a unique identifier. And the fundamental tenet of this system is that a block's hash will update if something changes within it. Perhaps you're beginning to see where this is going. Every block contains the data from the previous block as well, so if the hash is altered, the hash of this block also changes. As a result, the hash of this block no longer matches the hash of the next block, making all following blocks invalid. Taking this further and considering that each of a million users would have a copy of the blockchain ledger, I would need to tamper with not just a block and every subsequent block, but also at least 500,000 computers worldwide in order for the majority of the system's computers to be consistent with the one I've tampered with in order to fraudulently create a transaction that, say, paid me money. Most likely not going to occur. However, it does occasionally happen for me to simply hack into someone else's bank account and pay myself money. And sometimes it's as easy as figuring out someone's 6-digit PIN by hand. However, there's a huge difference between that and attempting to simultaneously break into 500,000 unrelated systems. All right, so there are problems with cryptocurrency. Hopefully you can see why some people are enthusiastic about these, since I'm literally going to get to them in a minute. Additionally, this leads me to the topic of investing. It's likely that you've heard of individuals investing in cryptocurrencies, which simply entails swapping fiat currencies like dollars for virtual currencies like Bitcoin. In the event that those cryptocurrencies take off and become the next big thing, they hope to be able to spend the extra money or just sell them for a higher price than they were originally purchased. Going to the moon, or mooning, is the term used to describe cryptocurrencies that see such a meteoric rise. However, depending on who you speak with, that could indicate quite different things. But at this point, the only choice someone would have to make is which cryptocurrency. Since Bitcoin is only one of the more than 4,000 other cryptocurrencies that exist today, and each one has unique characteristics, even though we have discussed Bitcoin. For instance, transactions can be processed even faster than with Bitcoin by Ethereum, the second most invested in cryptocurrency. One that is thought to be more advanced technologically is called Cardano. One of them, Litecoin, uses a more recent algorithm. And if you're enjoying the video, you should consider subscribing to the channel. Enchanting. Allow me to demonstrate what I've done. And please note that this is not financial advice in any manner. I've literally only invested a small amount of money that I may lose, so I'm not endorsing this, but in my opinion, it's more of an optimistic gamble than a calculated investment. One of these hats is the only item you really ought to purchase. The best thing I've ever bought, that is a benefit in terms of money. Thus, I have invested 40% in Ethereum, 20% in Polygon, 20% in Cardano, 10% in Cartesi, and 10% in Litecoin. In essence, this portfolio has seen ups and downs as well as ups and downs, and to be honest, Wish.com definitely offers greater stability after that. Currently, cryptocurrency is at a rather strange spot, and now I'll discuss its negative aspects and difficulties. This is one of the primary ones. I believe that a lot of people don't consider cryptocurrency to be serious because of its volatility. Nobody really understands what these currencies should be valued because they are so new and entirely digital, unlike instance, the gold market. As a result, you discover that cryptocurrency prices are highly speculative. The news cycle is connected to them. Similar to how prices rise in response to positive press about them, they plummet in response to a negative tweet from Elon Musk. Most locations, that is. Indeed. I can use cryptocurrency to book vacations and make Wikipedia donations, but many businesses have been inconsistent in their approach. Companies like Microsoft, Tesla, and even Burger King have made statements about accepting Bitcoin in the past, but later changed their minds. Thirdly, environmental concerns may arise. And you see, the idea of transactions being validated numerous times by numerous computers is the whole reason why many of these cryptocurrencies are so safe. Therefore, I believe it's fair to say that the critique alone results in a basic inefficiency. An enormous amount of electricity is needed for that much processing power. However, you could also argue that more electricity is used by traditional banking, that more modern coins have more advanced technology and are more efficient, and that eventually we'll be able to obtain that electricity from renewable sources, depending on who you ask. Fourth, there's a strong belief that cryptocurrency is the ideal form of payment for criminals because there is now no meaningful regulation or policing surrounding it. To be honest, though, I believe the statistics on that one speaks for itself. Chain analysis indicates that up to 5% of regular cash transactions and 0.34% of cryptocurrency transactions are illegal. And I believe it's partly due to the myth that digital currencies like Bitcoin are anonymous. Actually, they go by pseudonyms. This implies that upon completing transactions on the blockchain, your public key or unique identity will be permanently baked into the system, even though your personal details are hidden from prying eyes. Since cash is untraceable by nature, it simply makes more sense as currency for most forms of illicit activity. That's not how I am aware of that. But in addition to the drawbacks, cryptocurrency has also resulted in a few purely bizarre developments. For instance, a non-fungible token, or NFT, may be familiar to you. You may want to set yourself down for this one if you haven't already. Not to put too fine point on it, but this one baffles me. You know how you can now visit an art gallery and purchase an artwork for a fee? Fortunately, you may now pay to just possess something digitally thanks to the blockchain. Thus, it doesn't prevent anyone from using or sharing that item. All it implies is that you would be the owner of the original while everyone else would be sharing copies, even if they would all essentially have the same appearance and behavior. Many of these NFTs are essentially nothing more than JPEG pictures. And I think the fact that there's a clear distinction between purchasing an NFT and purchasing the rights to anything is why some people find this ridiculous and even humorous. Therefore, purchasing the rights to anything is quite legal because you can sell licenses or make merchandise. You cannot use an NFT. All reproduction rights for that work remain with the original owner. All you're doing is demonstrating your partial ownership of that item via the blockchain. However, it is evident that the mere ability to state such has some worth, as evidenced by the $3,600 NFT of this Gucci ghost. Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, sold his first ever tweet as an NFT for $2.9 million. I could accomplish that in 5 words. Who's up for it? And I'm in complete awe of this one. This image, which is essentially a summary of the artwork of one man, brought $69 million at auction. It's really good. To be clear, this really only transfers some digital ownership of a JPEG image to the buyer. And lastly, Dogecoin may be familiar to you. Though it was made as a joke, Dogecoin is based on the same technology as Litecoin. Because they felt it was humorous, others began spreading it and investing some money in it. However, this increased the value of Dogecoin to the point where some people have really gained millions simply by purchasing it when it was on sale. The world is a curious place.